Welcome to Market Like a Hotshot, episode 52.
Can you believe it? It's like
Family Feudo. What's
it's like a year's worth of episodes we've
a year's
recorded.
worth of episodes.
So this is huge.
It's huge, man. It's just huge.
It is.
Yeah.
And we're 2 weeks ahead of our 1 year anniversary because the first two live shows we did, we actually released two shows in the same week.
Yeah.
So we're 2 weeks away. So episode 54 will actually be our year
end.
year
It's kind of like
anniversary.
Drake. He lets out 3 albums in 1 week,
Yeah.
just to like slam them all into place. I know. I don't
or
like Drake.
Guns N' Roses with Use Your Illusions
Use
1
Illusion
and 2.
1 and 2. Yeah,
So-
I'm not a big Drake fan. Let's keep it that.
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar all the way.
So
Anyways, so what's going on, man?
we got an exciting episode today. Think like a hotshot.
Think like a hotshot.
And we're going to talk about how to think for yourself, think critically, think positively, and stop letting AI or the crowd do the thinking for you.
Claude is not your friend.
Yeah.
Right.
So many people let AI do. It's getting to the point where I think people can't even have a normal conversation because they use AI to do all their communication these days.
Exactly.
So we're going to have some fun chatting about that today.
Yeah,
It's going to be fun.
Just don't have AI be your girlfriend or boyfriend. I think that gets a little bit weird.
That is the weird. I told you. I know I've told you about this. I haven't told the Hotshots, but the Hotshot Nation. Like, I'm on Reddit a lot, and I was part of a bunch of AI groups on Reddit, and people would post like a couple's photo.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't tell which one was the AI generated person and which one was the real person. That's how good the image quality is when they create it. It's
Bring back the 80s, man.
yeah.
When life is real.
Hey, everyone might not be my cup of tea, but like whatever,
Anyways, yeah. So, you always say the biggest threat to your success is not competition; it's the autopilot thinking.
So true.
It's the biggest thing. So don't outsource your brain to Claude. Use Claude. Claude could be a friend, but not that. So, why is thinking a competitive advantage?
Well, most people, like we just said, they outsource their brain.
Yeah.
So, being able to think, it makes you stand out from the audience. In fact, earlier today, Reagan and I were in a session where we were talking about Purple Cow by Seth Godin.
Yeah.
And what's crazy about life today is that, like, people that are authentic, people that are real, you actually stand out for being, thinking on your own. AI, I'm starting to hear people say things like meaningful in conversations now because they're so used to seeing meaningful when they have AI create their social media prompts.
Yeah.
So it's insane. But, the thing is like you said, you don't want to outsource your brain. You don't want to let the world tell you what to believe instead of deciding for yourself. Too many people let AI, they let the crowds, they let other people do the thinking for them.
Yeah.
So you've got to do the thinking for yourself.
Be a leader. That's what
Absolutely
I always say.
be a leader.
So let's come up next, and we want to get right into this today because we're all thinkers.
Yeah.
We're breaking down the habits that destroy independent thinking. So, how about times? Give me an example of a time you follow the crowd and you're like, "What did I just do?"
Well, styles. I always think about styles in the 80s. There was that style where people would have like one pant leg up, and you can see some like 80s TV shows where we used to wear sweatpants back in the 80s
How
and
about
90s.
the stocking things? What are those leg warmer things?
Oh, the leg warmer.
Did you wear those?
No, I didn't wear
right.
those. But
I
I wore sweatpants. The other thing I wore, and this is a music shout out to Trickster, if you've ever
Trickster. Oh boy.
the video for 1 in a Million. Peter Lauren, who's their lead singer, he's got like skids and cowboy boots.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I had the heavy metal boots in high school, and I actually had the skids.
You had the leather boots with the little metal tip at the end.
Yeah,
that's
like
Reagan.
cool.
What do you think of that? That's weird, huh?
Not very cool
Not
anymore.
thinking like a hot shot there, Feudo. Yeah, all right. And you also had a mullet too, right? We all had mullets back then. And how about a time when you trusted your own thinking and it paid off? Because this is where you feel. Don't you feel better about yourself? Hot shots. You think of an idea, and it's a success, right? And you're like, why didn't I think of that? No pun intended. Did you ever? We talked about the leather boots with the metal tip. How about a time that you?
Getting more business focused on this topic. It's I think back to I made a decision a few years ago where it was a web design firm. We can do work for pretty much anybody all over the country. And I was trying to be active. This was just pretty close to being post-COVID. Shortly after things started getting back to normal, but still a lot of stuff online, right? So like I'd be going to all these online networking groups, and it was just a lot. It's a lot to have to do.
No.
So what I did is I decided to kind of focus locally. Staying within Massachusetts, I figured I could be live at events. People would see me more often because a lot of times it's like people go out there. And I think we talked about this in an earlier episode, right?
Yep.
Where that mass marketing message, it's just like if you're going to try and talk to everybody, you're going to end up talking to nobody.
You're not thinking like a hotshot.
It's definitely not thinking like a hotshot.
No
So
doubt.
like having that local focus, which not a lot of people were doing.
Yep.
They're like, oh, our customers are everybody. Our customers are everywhere.
Not really, unless you're
Right.
all on mycot.com, where it's for everybody.
Yeah.
But how about, running a business requires independent thought. So when you have a business, and we talk about this from a marketing perspective, how you stand out.
Right.
Sometimes if you
Stand
think
out like a
if you
hotshot.
think on your feet and you think about what you like to do and execute on it, already you're already doing something different. You're not trying to copy somebody else. It's your own thoughts, your own strategy. I love this with musicians, musicians that, I'm going to talk about music again.
Yeah.
What's a musician or a band that stands out from everybody else today? Can you think about one? Reagan, can you think about one? That, all right. So this is way before your time. Nirvana killed heavy metal. We always talk about Nirvana.
Right.
Right. That's a big one. I don't know, Noah Khan, maybe. SZA. I love SZA. She won some awards the other night.
I always thought Ava Max stood out, like when her song "Kings and Queens." Like when I heard that on the radio, I'm like, wow, it has like that old disco feel to it, but it was so different from all the stuff that you're hearing that you see on American Idol and The Voice, and they all like so many of those singers. They try to be someone else. They're trying to be the next, Britney Spears or the next.
Exactly, like Tate McRae. I mean, Britney Spears 2.0. You got if you want to be. We talk about marketing. This is marketing like a hotshot. Always want to be that green person in a red room, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. If you think for yourself, if it's your idea, you didn't read it in a book, you're already there. You're becoming a leader. You're thinking like a hotshot. So how about one more thing? We talked about the podcast. Made us think differently. Man, it's made us think differently.
It makes us think quite. And you and I had so many conversations yesterday. Jeff and I were at a small business expo in the afternoon, and then at night we had your
Mass Professional Networking.
Mass Professional and
AMA.
So a lot of marketers there.
Yes.
And like the biggest thing I talked about with people last night was the podcast, and we talked about it again. Like there was a session Reagan and I went to earlier today that how many web design firms are doing a podcast, right? Not many.
We thought on our own, right? We were like, let's start.
We're like,
this
let's
thing.
do something different, and that's what we're all about.
Just like live events shows what people respond to. I love it. We have a live event coming up, right?
June 18th.
June 18th,
right
live
across the street at
on
the
Framingham
Farmers
Common.
Market.
Yep. So the crowd is almost late, right? Leaders think ahead. So if you think on your own, you're a leader, and you're already ahead of the crowd. You want to beat the crowd. It's a big one. So let's talk about strategy. When you think for yourself.
So the first thing I do is I question everything.
Because then you make your own decision.
Right. I mean, there's all this thought, and I don't want to bring up certain people's names because we don't want to give them publicity, but you know exactly who I'm talking about. Where people would tell you, we knew somebody that would be like, "Oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this," and it's like, no, you don't. That's the wrong thing. It's like everybody on LinkedIn has their first and last name and first name, and then what they do. So you'd be like Jeff DeSocio, marketing or networking. It would be like your last name. Yeah. And what happened is people started getting kicked off of LinkedIn because of that.
Yeah, because
it violates the terms of service. So the other thing is that it's like Google search too. Like people find a loophole, everyone starts doing it, and then you know what? While everyone's doing that, you're not going to show up.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff. So, and then don't accept ideas at face value. Like we talk about questioning, don't outsource your beliefs. Outsourcing the Claude again. Here we go.
Oh
again.
my goodness.
You believe something, you ask Claude, what do you think of this, Claude? I'm picking on Claude, but I actually like Claude. I've become a
I know
Claude
you've
friend.
been using it. We had a nice conversation about Claude last night, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean the thing is too, it's like a lot of people just don't have an original thought anymore, and it's funny even what's going on in Hollywood. If you look at a lot of the big movies that are coming out, they're either remakes.
They're all like sequels.
Yeah, they're sequels, remakes. Like people are just getting annoyed. It's like, can't you come up with a new idea?
Yeah. So think like a hotshot. New ideas, very key. Don't let trends dictate your direction because, the trend is always a certain way. I noticed when I went to see Michael a few weeks ago, every single new movie is like that, action packed, guys are getting blown up. It's like, can you think of something different? They're not thinking like a hotshot. They're just trying to cash in.
Well, think of like Hallmark movies. Those things are very cookie cutter.
Yeah.
It's just like they change the actor and the actress. They change the location. They swap whether it's this person or that person from the big city and all.
Sometimes
It's
they go in a snowball.
They do. And that's, don't remind me of those Hallmark movies because that's a Friday night at the Socio household.
Friday night, especially during Christmas time, right?
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I mean, being able to stand out, being able to do things differently, coming out, thinking for yourself, and that's a skill that I think a lot of people don't have anymore. They don't think for themselves. They look at like what they go search for trends, and then it's like, oh yeah, I mean, these trends sometimes don't last long.
No, they don't. Let's hope they don't.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them, I hope they don't. Sometimes there's some good trends out there, but if you stake your business and your online personality based on a trend that's only going to last a few weeks or potentially a few months, it's not a good use of your time.
Exactly. It's kind of like a Drake album.
Yeah.
Right. Hopefully it goes away. So, critical thinking about, asking better questions. So this is where you can kind of strategize and think for yourself. Look for evidence, challenge assumptions. People assume way too much. And of course, separating emotion from decision. How many times you make an emotional decision and you regret it?
Oh my goodness! There's a quote that if you make a decision with your heart, you're going to have heartburn.
Yeah, I love that one. Get some Tums out, man.
Yeah.
Get ready, because that's the thing. Critical thinking is the difference between reacting and responding. I always like to take a step back. You always have to take a step back, analyze, think, take a breath, and then respond. Not too much. Too much like that.
Mark Twain. I was trying to remember the person.
How can you not know Mark Twain?
No, I was trying to remember who it was. So Mark Twain. What he would do is he would write a letter when he was upset, and he would throw it in a drawer, and then actually he would give it to his wife to mail. So he'd get it out of his system.
Yeah.
And then the wife just wouldn't mail it, but he'd feel better about it. I think it was President Lincoln was the one that whenever he was upset, he would just write it down and then like throw it in a drawer. And I think after he was assassinated, people found all this stuff in his drawer, like all the letters showing how he felt. But like, it's good to get it out of your system, but you don't want to just like, get all emotional and
well, if you're gonna get emotional, be positive about it. Positive thinking's not pretending. It's you want to choose a productive mindset because if you think for yourself and you thought about a strategy or an idea and you execute it and it was great, that's gonna positive. That's to be a productive mindset, right?
And using productive, positive language. So, like, you have been correcting me a lot there, Mr. DeSocio.
Every day.
We were driving home, and I'm like,
the problem is.
Yeah, I'm like, I was evaluating a system, and I'm like, the problem, and he's like, stop, it's the challenge.
The challenge.
My personal favorite with that is Les Brown. Les Brown's absolutely amazing. You should, if you haven't listened to him, you should check him out. Yeah. But he's like, you don't have a bad day, you have a character building day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is such a good way to phrase it. And it's the language that you use. A lot of times people don't understand that. Like the language, the words that come out of your mouth really affect your attitude. Yep. And especially if there's people around you, if you're always talking negative, always talking, always complaining, it's going to turn people off.
Yeah. It's refusing. You want to refuse to be a victim.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't like. Yeah, it's the woe is me thing does not help because it doesn't. You're not thinking like a hotshot.
And it's a lot of you hotshots out there in Hotshot Nation. You may work at a company And you have these things like, you're all upset, you're tired, you're frustrated, and you have these pity parties. And again, it's good to get it out of your system because it's kind of like when you're sick, right? You need the virus to
No one
exit.
suggested that. If you're on a pity party, go for a walk by yourself in the middle of the woods where nobody hears you but the bugs and the coyotes, and just vent.
Yeah.
To get it out of your
Scream it
system,
out.
be like one of those weirdos in the middle of nowhere. Just don't be around people because you don't want to bring the people that are around you down.
Right.
To that level, right?
And it's something you say, yesterday you brought this up, I don't know, 3 or 4 times when you're like, you're the average of the 5 people you're around most.
Yeah.
And if you're around positive people, they're going to lift you up.
Yep.
If you're around negative people, they'll drag you down
So
with
positive thinkers. That
Yeah.
some of the strategies.
And
that we're going
it
over.
doesn't mean like by positive thinking, you don't want to be delusional either, where it's like, your car's on fire and it's like, my car's not on fire. It's, you've got to accept reality. But like, yeah, if things are tough, it's like, all right, well, what can I do about it?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Good stuff, man. Whew, we're rapid fire today.
I know.
We already chatted about AI. Well, AI is a tool, not your brain. I think we went over that a little bit. And it could assist you. I would say like your assistant, but not. It's not going to replace your judgment and thinking. Because I always thought of AI as like that's facts, but does AI do strategic thinking for you? It doesn't. You want human interaction. Is probably the way you want to do it, right?
Right.
So, how about some tactics?
Well, one of the things that I always like to talk about is that sometimes slow thinking, actually thinking your way through a problem, it beats fast reacting. I know, like in business, in life, a lot of times you have to like react super quick.
Yeah.
But if you have the luxury of being able to think for a moment, gather your thoughts, kind of think more strategically like you're playing a chess game. Like, when you're playing a game of chess, you don't just sit there and move as soon as the other person does. You think about it. And sometimes you're a few steps ahead. So if they go this way, you're going to do this. But that's a problem I see a lot of people do. It's just like they react right away without thinking. They speak right away without thinking. And
Yep. It's kind of like giving the finger to a car that cuts you off.
Yeah.
You react too fast, right?
take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath. Just move on. So your mind is your most valuable axis. Guard it.
Absolutely.
Expand on that one.
Well, again, using your mind and not having other people or other things like AI think for you, your brain is what makes you unique.
Yep.
Our personality, that's something that other people can't replicate. They can't replicate the way we think. They can't replicate our experiences. And that's always something that provides a difference between, like, even you and I. I mean, there's a lot of things that you and I think very similarly about, but then we have our own perspectives on different things. So, like, a lot of times people are just, like, they pump all their stuff into Claude or ChatGPT or whatever.
I've got my computer upstairs.
Yeah, I've actually never used Claude, but
Alright.
they pump something in there and it's like, all right, do all the thinking for me, and that's I think it's lazy, I think it's sloppy, and I think it's going to end up biting them in the rear end.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Woo. We talked about following the crowd already. I think we touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, so the bottom line is don't follow the crowd.
Don't follow
be
the crowd.
Be the green guy in the red room, right?
And if you want uncommon results, you need uncommon thoughts.
That's true.
I like that one. And we already talked about thinking like a leader and act as a builder. Move like a hotshot. How about that? Is that like, man, we're rapid fire today.
Yeah,
We're
cranking
rapid
through,
fire
man.
and all that. So a few of our previous episodes, we've talked about lead like a hotshot, right? Brand like a hotshot, standing out like a hotshot. Don't remember the episode numbers, but they're out there. This kind of puts it all together, okay? Before you even get into branding yourself, think about your strategy and build that strategy. And be unique. It's always good to do it in a box. It's great to get ideas, but duplicating somebody else's idea doesn't usually guarantee success.
Yeah, being a copycat. I mean, sometimes there's examples in history where being second to market or letting an idea kind of trickle through and see where it goes. There's an advantage to doing that, but coming up with something exactly the same as everybody else, following suit, doing the same thing. People always are told that there are these formulas that you follow. To be successful, you got to hire this person first, that person second, that person third. And that's not true. It doesn't, every person, every business is in a unique situation. So following a formula that 1,000 other people are doing,
Nope.
you're not going to get unique results. You're going to get, and you may not even get the results that they get. I mean, it's
like going to an ice cream place and all they have is vanilla ice cream.
right.
Right.
It's not exciting.
I mean, vanilla is a good flavor, but it's kind of boring. All right, we're gonna give a challenge. We have homework. See, this is the big thing. People don't realize, we're gonna listen to a podcast, and I'm not gonna do anything. But we give you a challenge. What's that challenge?
This challenge is take a decision that you've been avoiding and think it through on paper.
Yep.
That means do not use AI.
Let's pretend it's 1995.
Yeah. And get a piece of paper out.
Yeah. Get a piece of paper.
Write it down. So think about a decision that you've been avoiding and think it through on paper. So ask yourself, why have you been avoiding that decision? What your options are for that decision, and then work your way through it.
Work it through. Trying to rate, the effort, time, effort, cost, if possible, and all that. And then just you and your mind, do it out in the woods again. I would say do it out in the woods.
Yeah.
That's where clarity starts. It starts there because you're already ahead of the game. You already got a strategy down. Yeah, you get AI help you out a little bit, get some facts down, but that's about it. Wow. So that's your homework. So we'd like to see some comments out there. Hit us on the contact us page, marketlikeahotshot.com. So we're saving all the shout outs to the end. Who do we got the shout outs for this week? One thing is Riyadh last week. Everyone seen episode 51 yet?
Yeah, I mean, so Riyadh is one of those people. I'm trying to choose the right words to say this about him. Riyadh, a lot of people consider him to be a rising star. I feel like he's a star that's rising even higher.
Risen, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's someone I've known for about 4 years now. An incredible person. He's doing some amazing things, and I've seen him do that in his prior role. And then I work obviously really closely with him in his current
next door
role.
neighbor. So if you're, especially if you're in the Metro West of Boston. Especially that's episode 51 is a podcast not to miss there.
And if you're interested, and you don't even have to be in this area, if you're interested in all about how to create a community around what you're doing, it's a good episode to go listen to.
Yeah, that's a good point because we had a great chamber here, and you always want to learn some ideas. And then we had 51 episodes have been posted already.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
Really go through when you have a chance this weekend, if you're with your boring family or whatever, and pull up Spotify. We'd like to understand what topics or what episodes really stood out to you, what you learned, and let us know. Give us a comment out there. We also always appreciate a like, comment, repost, share.
Yeah.
When we do it on social media. I know we're out there quite a lot. We're on YouTube. I mean, this is social media, right?
Yeah, we're on YouTube,
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok to a degree. What else are we on? I said LinkedIn.
For social media, yeah, and then on obviously on the major platforms. So Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Apple.
That's it. YouTube.
Yeah, and then so coming up in a few weeks, so who knows, by the time you're listening to this, it might already be out there. Our music. So we have music. We have Market Like a Hotshot, the music part 1.
So we have a music link on our website pretty soon.
So you'll see that'll be coming to Spotify and pretty much all platforms that do music. And then there's a follow-up we're going to do as part 2 with the alternate versions of some of the songs we've created. So, we're really taking this to the next level. I am excited about this.
And then we don't forget about Learn Like a Hotshot.
But Jeff, what is important about this is this kind of ties into the whole topic of this episode, being unique. How many other podcasters are creating theme songs?
Yeah.
And we even have, if you've seen you should watch our live event, although I don't think it's on the episode 45, which is our last live event.
Yeah.
But we have it on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, there's a song called the Social Connector, the Connector, and then also the Attraction.
And we have our entrance video
Yeah, our entrance
that
video.
the entrance videos that we did for the live event, which was, you know, a little bit of a rough cut. So you're going to see some updated videos. We're up to all sorts of crazy stuff. So if you're watching this, this is going to be released June 1st of 2026.
Wow,
If
June
you're
1st.
Yeah, that's when this episode gets released.
The year is flying
If
by.
you're listening like, I don't know, October of 2026 or later, go to Market Like a Hotshot. You're going to see .com, obviously. You're going to see a lot of different things that are pretty exciting. So,
all right, man. Well, all hotshots out there, think like a hotshot. Remember, right here, this is the most important part. Your brain, think, be unique, and be a leader. And we'll all be good. You'll be a hotshot. All right, have a great day. Jeff and James in the house.
until next time.
Until next time.